Howdy, everybody. Today I'm here with Memo. We're going to be doing a little bit of experimentation to try and develop both of our casting here. So we're going to go through a series of fights. We've got this one ready at the beginning. I'm going to do a little bit of play-by-play. Memo is going to kind of react as if we were on a cast, and then we're going to discuss a little bit how it went. Then try the fight over again with with what we've discussed in the previous thing, and we'll try and find a few more fights up that. Try the same thing. Hopefully, it will result in us learning something. I don't know. Where? Uh, so Memo. So we're following Kurimex with an Umbral board. So I guess this is kind of useful for both of us. So I guess before we kind of even get into the whole fighting part of it, I want to tell you what I see, and maybe you can then tell me what I've missed. So looking at the board, I'm seeing that there's, we've got the Yone, I've got the Loon, but those are the ones who are itemized. We've got the Heavenly in the mix. So Inspiring Epitaph in particular feels like it's going to be important in terms of how the fight plays out. That Yone is going to be strong towards the tail end with getting the extra shields and extra attack speed off of that. And we've got the the Umbral Shield, the Execute in there as well. And I suppose as well it will be that there's going to be quite a lot of damage coming out of a Loon. Like, she's got a lot of damage, and the burn from Morella is a little bit of attack speed as well, but she's not got like massively fast casting attack speed. So I'm imagining with both of them having 2 items, and maybe we see a slam coming here, because this is off a very long win streak, that I guess it's more likely Curran might be willing to throw an extra item on to try and keep the streak going. But I mean, for you looking at this, what are you thinking in terms of, is this a situation where Curran's likely to keep his streak going? Okay, so yeah, I think in terms of like how the fights we play out, because Yon is such, in the Heavenly or in the Umbral variant here, or what kind of mix I suppose, as we got right now, it's so focused on what the Yon does. I think I will be looking mostly where Yon goes during the opening fight, and if he looks like he's going to get burst down, because he doesn't have, he's got a bit of healing, but he doesn't have the Bloodthirst, and he doesn't have the Titans either. So it feels like he's relying a lot on the initial Umbral Shield to get him through, not get burst out to start with, and hopefully get into a position where he's not being focused. Alright, but yeah, let's go. Alright. So come on a big old win streak. We've got the items. We're looking to see if he's going to slam in, because he's 1 round away from taking this streak into PvE. He goes up against Sei Humkin, who is running the Ink Shadow board. You see that a lot of the tankiness and a lot of the damage being pitched over on the left-hand side there. The Yoni does get in, but he's not hitting the priority targets very quickly, and a lot of the front lines evaporating very fast. Goes down to minimal health and drops, and that's going to be it for Kurmex's streak. So what remember what kind of what you imagine would go through Karma's mind there to decide not to slam and not to with so much gold on the line. All right, cool. So from where you were sitting, like in terms of the stuff I was covering in the team fight, what kind of, was there anything that jumped out at you in terms of stuff that if we just sort of like if we just sort of look over it again without the play-by-play aspect of it, or is there anything I did or didn't say that kind of jumped out to you? Okay. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, from my thoughts of looking at it, I think it's sort of I did briefly mention it, but I know that as a play-by-play caster, I think Bryce actually did a really good job of sort of illustrating this, that of being more proactive, like rather than just reacting to what's happening in the fight, trying to read ahead of what could happen, so that it's easier for a viewer to follow because I'm sort of leading people into it rather than just being like, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened. So noting the side that the Yone was on, I think feels like a big one I could do there. Mm. Okay. So, oh, no, please. Oh, so in terms of what you were saying, I think everything you're saying was really good. I would just, if anything, I would just charge ahead and include the. Uh, I would just assume that I'm always sort of wanting to know the why of what someone does, all the time. So I would just jump in ahead and just be like, "Oh, that was a big choice he made there," uh, and the reason that he did this was blah 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 blah. Because what the answer you gave was really good and helped like push the story forward really well. Mm. Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, I think that's honestly fine. For me, my brain tends to get overloaded quite quickly, so I definitely appreciate like doing the one thing at a time. But as long as it's on one line of thought, I can usually follow it. So as long as you're talking about the same topic, you can talk about it for like 5 minutes. I'll still be like, okay, I sort of get the broad strokes. As long as you don't, the thing to really avoid would be talking about like why he did that, and then going on to a different topic entirely, and then I'll be like, whoa, and lose the thread because I'll be ready to respond to what you'd said previously, and then I'll be like, oh no, I need to throw that all in the bin and start over again with the next thing. Uh, but okay, I we can try this one again. We'll see if we can get anything useful out of it. This may not have too much to welcome it, but we can do a little bit of refining. I think this time I'll try and hype it up a bit more. All right, and yeah, no, for you, just I just think just come in, just work on the come in confident, like, huh, I'm Memo, I know things. All right, doop doop doo. So, current max on a win streak since the beginning of the game. This board has been unstoppable up until this point. But we'll see if he's able to carry the streak all the way through into the PvE round. This is an absolute ton of money going up against the Ink Shadow board on the other side. And we can see that the Yone is a long way away from those priority targets. A lot of damage on the backline. The Volley Bear holding down the front as well. Yone jumping in. Does manage to take out low priority targets, but all of the itemized carries for the Ink Shadow board are still in place. Yone gets deleted. Aluna's going to be left all by herself. She's doing a lot of damage, but I just don't think there's enough punch in her to be able to take out the rest of the board. Nice. I really like the stuff towards the tail end, especially because a big thing about the casting stuff is trying to build up the players and kind of like represent them as these personalities who are worth investing in and caring about. And I think you did a really good job there of like building out his decision making process and giving. I think it's one thing to sort of just to say what happened, but it's another thing to be able to present what happened in an interesting and compelling way. And I think you did that really well there. Uh, all right. Mm. Oh, yeah. I mean, particularly with the whole thing of Yon being, Yone being the like the central figure at least most of the time. But you pointing out the Alloon stuff really helps with that. I definitely think like this kind of encourages me to do more of these kind of things, even just solo, just to like look at it and be in these with this board playing, with this kind of fight playing out, there are probably only so many different things that are actually important in terms of how this comp works, and figuring out what those are ahead of time, I think would make a lot of difference in just being able to easily, slip into I'm going to focus my attention on the important areas. Mm. Mm. Yeah, and I guess with my lesser knowledge base, I think it's gonna be riskier for me to do that. But I think the more I try and do it, the more right uh, I'll be, or at least I'll be directing the attention in the correct direction. I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? It doesn't ultimately matter if I'm right or not, as long as, like I said to you, like I've got a reason for saying what I'm saying, and it is an important part of the fight. Hmm. So that's another thing we can do in terms of the cast for the GSC is like feeding that kind of information in about how the team fights are going to go ahead of time will help me tremendously, because then I can just basically just follow what you have already pointed out. Like if you say in this next fight or in these next few rounds, it's going to be so important to keep this unit alive, or to make sure this unit's damage goes onto the priority carries or whatever. Then that's fantastic, because all I really need to do is fill in gaps. Okay. Because we've never done this before, I don't know what the best thing to do is. We can, I think maybe we jump forward a little bit and do one more off of this particular setup, because I don't know if there's going to be a massive amount more to say. Uh, let's see if we can find another inflection point in the game where the I don't know if he's going to keep up his win streak to the end of the game. Maybe. Okay, there we go. It does get broken at some point. Jeez. Okay. All right. So let's. So this again. This is a really useful thing for me to practice, which is just taking stock of what's on the board and being like, okay, I need to pre-process what's going to happen here. So I can see Yone. So Yone's not Yone 3, but he has got the full itemization. We've got the full Reaper in place, so I've got to watch out for that extra damage. There's a good amount of damage. Yeah, there'll be a suspected deceptively significant amount of damage coming out of the Kindred. And keeping an eye on if Kane survives or not will be a big difference. I think most of the rest of the stuff on the board looks like it's kind of filler. Am I missing anything there? Oh, good shout. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess he's got an extra item to be able to slam on to give him the third one. So it's, I guess, we'll see. I imagine it could well be the Starax. All right, cool. So yeah, so that's stuff I've got in mind here. Is that yeah? So exalted and the heavenly means that we're kind of, I suppose it's we're functionally doing the same sort of thing with exalted as we're doing with heavenly, right? That we're just pumping more damage into these three main carries who are going to be doing like nearly all of the work. All right, cool. Let's just see how it goes. All right, so with the stuff we've established, so the Kane 2 against Phoenix, who spent absolutely everything. The Lee Sin 3 is surely going to spell the end of this 7-round streak. Phoenix on the ropes, but with everything they have. Gosh, you barely see the Lee Sin with the amount of effects there in the middle, but it's actually by a surprisingly small margin that Corum gets put down. Still, though, way ahead of the pack on HP. Nice. I was So this time you did it unprompted, which I thought was really good. Which is that you answered the implied question of the situation: is there any way for Chromex to win at this stage? And you just did it yourself, which is great because it means that the conversation just moves on so much faster because you're focused in on like getting the most important information out. So yeah, I think that's really good. I have to admit, I got completely lost in the mix there with like multiples of the same units and like Lee Sin being drowned under effects. I really wish they would like put TFT on like a low effects mode generally, because it gets completely nuts. But okay, no, I didn't think I did a good job of that fight at all. I think I got completely overwhelmed. But this is why I want to do the practice. Uh, so from where you were sitting, I know I kind of like just kind of blard my way through that one, but if we just look for the fight again, what for you? What are like the moments that stand out as being important in this fight? Yep. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So I mean, I think I need to go back further to actually get to the round, but I think looking at this now with a little bit more time to think about it, it sounds like to me that like the two Annie twos are pretty great in terms of trying to make sure like that threshold of damage doesn't get reached in a. Like I guess like yeah, the longer the round goes, the less like damaging pieces you're going to have because they'll get knocked off one by one. So there's presumably a window of time where it's actually possible to kill the Lee Sin at all. Before he, you say you've got like one damage piece left, that's definitely not going to be able to do it. Two is, I guess, a maybe, and three would be ideal. But hmm. Okay, so looking at this now, so yeah, it sounds like the two big things from this Lee Sin board for Phoenix are that the Lee Sin doesn't take too much aggro early, and also he's got the scaling damage threat of the Lilia on the backside with the Guinsus adds a kind of another. I mean, I know it's not like round winning, but it's at least it's the damage source for the team outside of Lee Sin. Yes. All right. Well, let's try that round again. Uh, in terms of what you were saying, honestly, I thought it was all pretty good. I would maybe uh, I think the only thing I could suggest in terms of what you said afterwards was just to uh is to get to the talking about you know what he can do to win maybe a little bit faster, just because I think that's what everyone's going to be thinking immediately at the end of that round is the game over. Uh, all right, cool. Let's give it a try. All right, so Kurum, with his absolutely ridiculous streak, gets one more item in for the main carry, which is going to be the cane, leaving it up until the start of the round to make the slam in. And it's going to ultimately be the blue buff being sent towards the Wukong instead. Lee Sin, the 3-star in the center, being flanked by the two Annies, is not taking enough damage in the early going. We can see that the scaling damage of the Lydia threat in the backline will mean there's just not enough carries left. Lee Sin does go low, but not quite low enough. Kermex's streak is over. What do you think about Kermex's choices to go for the blue buff rather than putting the third item onto Kane there? Nice. I think we're starting having an interesting conversation if nothing else. All right, cool. Okay, so let's take a quick look and see. All right, so these are all similar games. We'll just try and find. Do you want to just? I'll just go through the list here and see if there's anyone you see jumps out as a comp that might be worth like doing a quick another version of this on. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's jump to wherever that is. Jump forward a bit. So we'll go more towards the tail end because there's going to be a bit more going on. Let's see if we can find another kind of big round kind of thing. Okay, I mean this seems decent. Let's blow this up here. So gonna look carefully at this. So we've got the ghostly emblem on the Udyr. We've got Toxin on the Ashe on the back, so... And we've got the Lysandra with a Crown Guard, which is pretty interesting. And with the main tank being Shen. Okay. So, in terms of what I'd probably be looking for in this, there's actually quite a lot going on in this in terms of the team fight from Saint. That we've got where Udyr ends up, which, you know, will make a massive difference. And who Lysandra is able to pick off. I guess I'll be most interested to see if this ends up sort of being that Udyr gets into the top left as we look at it, corner, and Lysandra ends up throwing another unit into that same sort of space and making it very difficult for a backline to kind of do anything. Yes. All right. Cool. Oh, thank you for the encouragement. That's great. I can see why you're so good at the coaching. All right, so let's see. So with all that stuff in mind, hopefully I can go into this relatively well prepared. There's a lot, yeah. Again, like I think like a lot of comps, there's a lot of sort of filler units in here that are just there to be bodies. So at least I'm primed to watch what the Udyr is going to be doing. Oops, on the wrong screen. There we go. All right, so Liquid. Well, St. Vicious gets the upgrade to the 2-star Udyr heading this round. Oh, fast forward this bit. Okay, the 2-star Lysandra as well. Okay, who are they going up against? I can't see them. Alright, so exactly what Saint would have been hoping for there. Lysandra going straight in on the primary carry of the Yone. Keeps him out of play for a while, sends him away. The Ashe is safe in the corner for the time being. And you can see that Udyr is doing an absolute ton of work. He will be ultimately left on his own. And even for Saint, managing to get the pick off onto the Yone so quickly, it still doesn't work out for him. So, from Saints side of things, I have to assume that, you know, is third place an inevitability given how much HP his opponent in that round had? Hey, you're right. All right. Oh no, sorry. What were you gonna say? Yeah. So that was kind of it. Yeah, that was interesting because like it's another thing where there isn't like a set answer to it. But I was definitely feeling I think the same way you were feeling there, where it's like if it seems very obvious that Saint hasn't really got anywhere to go but dead at this point, that we should be switching to talking about the people who are going to stay alive. And I think that's absolutely right. Like because you said if there's nowhere for Saint to go, then there's not really too much more to say. Uh, in terms of the play-by-play stuff, there, I guess if we look back through the fight again, was there anything which kind of leaps out at you that could have been mentioned which you didn't think was? Oh yeah, yeah. I would probably leave that to, like I think so. Bryce, esports law, like definitely has the knowledge to be able to throw that in. I think I would rather lean on your knowledge to break down the important things, because even if I could figure out like a reason why he lost the fight, I would rather like let you provide like the most relevant reason, and then we can kind of like go from there. Okay. Well, I honestly, I think the stuff we've gone through there is pretty useful. That takes us to about half an hour in length, so I think it's probably a good length for people to not fall asleep watching this kind of thing. But cool. Remember, thank you. This has definitely got me sort of thinking about the team fights in a bit of a different way, and I know that like got the Northern Legends coming up on the weekend, that I'll be spending more time, I think, sort of looking at boards and trying to anticipate what the important parts of the fight will be. So thank you, and yeah, looking forward to us working together uh, in the future. I can't remember if I've already said already, but no leaking, no leaking. I don't know. Uh, so Memo, for anyone who's watching this who maybe isn't familiar with you from before, is there anything you'd like them to know about? So the people watching would. Sorry. Is there anything you'd like people to know about yourself? In terms of perhaps, I don't know, coaching services you provide. Blah, blah. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a quick search just to make sure I'm getting that across right, because I know there is someone. That's right. So you are MEMOOOTFT. Uh, that's easy enough to remember, I suppose. All right, then, Memo, thank you so much. And yeah, looking forward to doing some more stuff soon.